Standing beside the white panel van, Kruger watched the family of 5 as they exited the private vault company's front door. The youngest boy on the end kept staring at him, despite his mother's tugging. The big South African didn't blame the boy for gawking. After all, Kruger was a 7-foot man dressed in a long coat and a stocking cap amid the sweltering heat of a Las Vegas summer. He made sure to keep his distance, and he waited until the kid was gone before he tossed his sunglasses into the van. He didn't even want a cursory description to be given to the police, but he needed to make sure that no children were inside the building. That was the most important thing to him. There wasn't much he wouldn't do for a mission, but killing children had always been off limits. Maybe that was why the squatter camp massacre had damaged him so deeply. He saw the faces of those poor children as he cut off their heads. His actions were born of mercy, but they didn't understand that. The fear in their eyes haunted him like nothing he'd ever done in the past. He'd always been a predator, but never a monster. Now he could no longer stand by that claim. His hand twitched, and his whole body felt cold despite the heat. Tears filled his eyes. He thought of his own little girl, Kianga, his sunshine. As he watched the family walk away, he thought of times he had spent with her, taking her into Kruger National Park on safari trips to see the elephants, the lions, and the bevy of other wildlife. He had never told her that the lions had killed her grandmother, but he had made sure that she feared and respected the beasts. He saw Kianga in little pink pajamas covered with the faces of kittens as they played hide-and-seek inside their sprawling compound, which was strangely close to the spot where he and Zarina had been rescued as children. Why he would ever want to live so close to that place, he had no idea. But it was home, and all he wanted in that moment was to get back in the van and return to the curly-haired girl in the pink pajamas. A strange longing swept over him, and he wondered, not for the first time, if he was a good father. He certainly provided for his family. Kianga wanted for nothing. She attended the best schools, and he had hidden away enough money to protect and care for her for the rest of her life. He loved her, and had made sure that she knew it. But was that enough? Wiping away the tears, he internally screamed at himself. What was he doing? He had never given thought to Kianga while on a mission. Her father was Idris, the man who tucked her in and kissed her forehead and knew all of her little tickle spots. Her father was not Kruger, and so Kruger didn't think about her. But with the lines blurred, he had lost his center and was adrift in a sea of uncertainty and doubt. Despite any trepidation, he had to keep up his act for a bit longer. Whatever was left of Kruger would have to prop Idris up long enough to do what was necessary. He looked to Sparks and the doc, who were readying themselves on the other side of the van. His assigned code name for the mission was Mr. K. His wife enjoyed assigning the code names, and he enjoyed indulging her. Although he had never pulled a job with either of these people, he wasn't concerned. The doc had specialized knowledge, and Sparks, a 30-something American nobody named Lamar Franklin, whom he had recruited as extra muscle, would serve his purposes perfectly as well. Kruger had mapped out every element of the plan. Every foreseeable circumstance had been accounted for. Although he had been around the block enough times to know that unforeseeable obstacles would arise. When that happened, he would crush them, not out of anger or insanity or bloodlust. In truth, he was indifferent about hurting people, or at least he used to be. But the mission always came first. That was how he succeeded where other men failed, because there was nothing he wouldn't do for money. At least, that's what he had always believed. He had never been haunted by things he had done until now. He gave a nod of approval to Sparks and the doc. It was time. They had already received confirmation that the manager was on the premises, and the collateral damage and number of probable hostages was at a manageable level, which meant no families. They had positioned the van out of range of all the cameras, but once they stepped another 5 feet toward the door of the private vault company, they would be leaving a digital record for the police to follow later. They were ready for this. Each of them pulled down a ski mask and moved towards the entrance. The business's name was displayed prominently in 5-foot blue letters on the face of the building and again in 10-foot letters on a tall, double-sided sign. Go Box. Over the tagline, keeping your valuables safe, secure, and close at hand. Kruger smiled. He would have his hand on those valuables very soon. But he hadn't been hired to steal from Go Box, this private vault company, or its patrons. The valuables he sought belonged to the United States government. The three of them moved across the parking lot in a tight formation. The blacktop smelled like a tar pit. The heat didn't bother Kruger. He was used to living out in the bush in worse heat than this. It was the urban smells that bothered him. The scent of mankind's rape of the natural world and the perversion of Earth's wonder and beauty. This was what bothered Kruger. He was more at home in a world where predators wore manes of tawny golden hair instead of Italian suits. But predators always followed their prey, which meant Kruger needed to go where the money was, especially under the present circumstances where Kruger needed to quickly steal enough money to retire for good. And if he intended to keep his beautiful wife in pearls for the rest of her life, he would need to hunt down and walk away with a large amount of cash without becoming the hunted. And today, on this morning, this Go Box Vault Company was where a whole hell of a lot of money was hiding.